So hi, we've got Jeannine Gant of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit. She's the
Yes.
CEO and president. Welcome to 313 Believe. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been great talking to you.
Absolutely, yeah, you're very cool. I can see we're going to do a lot of fun things for your organization.
Yes.
So, first question: how long have you been with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit?
I've actually been with Big Brothers Big Sisters. This is my 6th year
Wow.
as their chief executive officer and president, and
Sure.
it's been quite an experience, quite a ride.
Wonderful, wonderful. Had you worked for other nonprofits before?
I've probably spent most of my career, except for a very small time period, working in nonprofit organizations.
Interesting.
Generally with youth serving organizations, but I also did a little bit of time
Okay, sure.
at Wayne State University School
Sure.
of Business. But I've been working with nonprofits and in Detroit most of my career.
Excellent. So, what drew you to working with nonprofits besides service?
That's a really great question. Do you want an honest answer?
Sure.
Or do you want the answer
I
that
don't
I
care.
would
We're
give
all,
that's the
we're all
appropriate
human
answer?
beings. We're all human beings.
So,
whatever.
what really happened was I started off my career to be a television broadcaster.
Okay,
That was
cool.
what I went to
I
school
can see
for.
that.
And it wasn't my personality. It was a very dog kind of
Sure.
stab the next reporter in the back to get the story.
Right.
And it just wasn't me, and I just wasn't comfortable in that space.
Sure.
My dad worked at the Multiple Sclerosis Society at the time. He didn't work there, he was the board chair.
Sure.
And they had an opening, and I ended up getting the position. And as people will say, once you get the nonprofit bug, you kind of get bit. And I love the
Whoa.
work that I'm doing,
I
and
love it.
a lot of it has been working with children and families. So it's been a great career. It's been 30 years that I've been doing this work.
Wow. And I could, based on what we've spoken about, you're highly qualified because you come from an advertising background with J. Walter
I
Thompson.
do,
And you're
I
blending
do.
that gift of
Yeah.
service with advertising,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
extremely important.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that earlier. This idea that, nonprofits really add value to the community.
Absolutely.
We're mission based. We work for a cause. And oftentimes, when you're lucky enough, you can find the opportunity to actually partner with a corporation who also has really big dollars and is interested in talking to the same audience that you bring to the table, right? And when I was at Ford, that cause was breast cancer. And so while I wasn't in nonprofits directly, I still worked for a cause, for a mission.
Sure.
It's been pretty exciting work for me.
So yeah, when you were with Ford, you oversaw
the race, the Coleman Race for the Cure,
Right.
which was a really, this was the beginning. I have to say to you, this time when I worked at J. Walter Thompson and we were working on our partnership and sponsorship with the Coleman Race for the Cure, that it was really the beginning of Ford's involvement as a leader in promoting breast cancer. And so I was a part of that. I can go back now, and I occasionally will look and see the brand that I started, that movement that I started, still showing up in magazines, on billboards, TV.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool.
Wow. And then you've now continued it for the last 6 years of service with Big Brothers Big
Yes.
Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit.
Yeah.
So the first question I'm going to ask you, I've done mentoring back when I lived in LA. But why do you think mentoring matters so much?
Oh, wow. Gosh. So, what's so great about this format, because you're not rushing me to answer the question, so I'm not going to rush to answer
Sure.
it, but I can
Take
rush
your
if
time.
you want. But you know what? Fundamentally, I think we as an organization believe that every child should have a sense of belonging.
Sure.
That it is a fundamental human right that you feel like you belong to your community, that someone cares about you. And so our organization is really about putting a caring adult in the life of a child. If you are a child that is coming from an adverse background,
Right.
And that adversity might come in many different forms.
Single parent. whatever.
Parent, foster care, you have an incarcerated parent,
Sure.
there's mental illness, addiction, poverty, low achieving schools. When you think about that, and you think about the kids in our community, so many of the kids we serve meet that criteria. This is not to say we don't serve kids that might have less complicated backgrounds, right? Maybe a parent is divorced. Maybe maybe it's as simple as they're just not doing as well in school as we'd like to see them doing in school.
Sure.
But many of our kids have multiple problems that they're dealing with, and so we train our mentors. We screen them. We background check them.
Okay.
We're kind of like Match.com on steroids, if you will.
How many mentors do you have?
We have just under 1,000
Okay.
Annually that we work with, but we've been around since 1974. So
Sure.
it is not unusual for me to go around the community of Metro Detroit, or indeed the country, and if I tell people what I do, they say, "Oh my gosh, I was a little brother," or "I was a
Sure.
big sister." So I mean, we've been around since the 1930s
Right.
as a movement, because mentoring does matter, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, people kind of like look at what's happening to our kids and what's going on, and research really does show that a lot of it goes back to the sense that there are issues with social acceptance, there are issues with adult relationships, there are competing opportunities to get involved in things that would put you at risk.
Mm-hmm.
Drugs, alcoholism, drinking, fighting, skipping school, all those kind of things that would put you at risk.
Sure.
That's who we're competing against. We're
So a
competing
sense
against
of
that.
belonging. So you
Yeah.
serve everyone, kids like in the Metro Detroit area then?
We do. So Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit serves Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties, and with a focus on the city of Detroit. Probably the majority of kids that we serve are coming from the city, but we do see kids with adverse childhood experiences all around the metropolitan area. Let us not believe that it's just a city thing,
Sure.
right?
Of
That
course.
you've got
Suburban,
kids in suburbs
everywhere,
that are
all
also
over the
dealing
place.
with a lot of these issues as children, and what we see happening with our kids is not a race, social, economic thing
Sure.
in many cases. It's
Right.
just
All over the
dealing
board,
with being
across the
a young
board.
person trying to navigate society nowadays.
So what are some of the biggest challenges you faced with some of these kids, these at-risk kids?
Oh, I don't so much like to think of them as challenges as it is just, opportunities to help them, opportunities to inspire their full potential.
Sure. But what are the challenges, I guess, better yet, of your organization growing and
that's a
being
great
more
question.
visible?
That's a great question.
There you
So one of the biggest problems we have at Big Brothers Big Sisters in metropolitan Detroit, there are two problems we have.
Okay.
One problem is this perception that we have an abundance of resources because we are a national organization,
Mm-hmm.
but we have a local footprint.
But you're a chapter.
But we are a chapter. We are our own 501c3. We are our own nonprofit organization with a governing board. I file taxes. I run my own audit. All that stuff. And it can be very challenging when there are other competing organizations. But it's not even that. It's that my dad continues to call me Boys and Girls Club, and he's been working.
Right.
I've been there for 5 years, and I'm like, Dad, how do you not know, right? So if you can imagine that my own parent doesn't know,
Sure.
the average citizen on the street
There's a
often
perception problem.
confuses us with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we do one-to-one mentoring, whereas a Boys and Girls Club is an after-school place-based kind of a thing.
Right.
We're
And that's-
very
they do
different.
They do a positive thing too.
And it's
just
great,
different.
and I love Sean Wilson, for example. He's the CEO here in Metro Detroit. He's fantastic.
Sure.
He's doing some great stuff. But he does his thing. We do ours. But
Right.
you need all of us to be able to impact the lives of what some of our kids are going through. So when you deal with multiple problems,
Yeah.
you need to have more than just one organization, one person, one adult that's caring about you. You know,
Yeah.
it takes an entire community to
Right. It's not
really
just an
help impact
after-school
these
thing.
kids.
It's a full on. How long does the mentorship usually last?
So for us, our relationships on average have lasted 32 months. And I'm saying 32 months, and that's a very technical answer. We look at things, we look at outcomes, we look at data, so sometimes I answer that way. But our relationships last on average 2 to 3 years. That's for those that close that we track. But many of our bigs and littles will be matched from 8 years old up to 18. These are lifetime relationships that are
Sure.
developed. I myself have a little sister who was my little sister when she was turning 15, and she's going to be 21 this year. And we just
Wow.
had dinner last week. So
kind of way
we stay in
you're
touch.
like you're kind of like a like a distant parent in a way.
you know what? Well, here's what's great about a big sister versus a parent.
Mhm.
If you're a parent, I'm a parent.
Sure.
and my daughter won't tell me anything. I don't get
Right.
any good scoop from her about stuff.
You get you get to
Right.
be
Right.
different parties.
But she has a big sister who was an old neighbor of ours, and they have the best relationship. They chat about everything. You know, she feels very comfortable talking to her about things, and that's kind of what a big sister is. We're an ally.
Right.
We're not a savior.
Right.
I'm not your mother.
Right.
But I'm an ally.
So it's more comfortable setting.
Yeah. In fact, what we do is just go out and do stuff in the community. So you talk about 313.
Right.
If you ask my little sister, well, what do? We drive around, right? Because Detroit's the Motor City. We're going from this place to that place. We're doing activities in the community. That's what me and my little sister do. We are exploring Detroit.
Right.
And, you know, for a lot of our kids who are under-resourced, they, in many cases, haven't been downtown. They haven't been to this place and that place. And many things that we ourselves take for granted. You know, a couple years ago, we had the Bayview Yacht Club take our kids out on boats, on sailboats, and they were part of a regatta with an international crew. I mean, we provided them with some really amazing experiences because many of our kids just have not had an opportunity to do some of the things that we take for granted.
So besides, like, you know, mentoring, and mentoring is huge. I mean, it can impact both the mentor and the mentee. Big time. How do like listeners, like a common listener, let's say in Metro Detroit,
a common listener,
well, a typical listener, how can they help your organization?
You know, a common listener can help our organization in a multitude of ways.
Sure.
You know, first and foremost.
And what's the website again?
It's bbsdetroit.org.
Perfect.
And or people can call us at 313-309-0500. But there's lots of information on our website. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, so you can find us in lots of different places.
Yep.
But you know, people often say, "How can we get involved?" And I'll be honest with you, as the CEO, I need to just say what we really need, and what we really need is money.
Sure.
You know, we were creating this is a fun kind of thing. We were creating our manifesto, and we thought our manifesto needs to include the words, "We need money, damn it," right? Because in reality, it costs money to do this work.
Sure.
You know, we are about keeping kids safe. We are fingerprinting, we are background checking, we are youth development experts, we support the relationship for the duration of the relationship. You know, it is a full-fledged operation that goes into making sure that our kids are safe and that they're getting the outcomes that we promised them.
Right.
And I'm not trying to belittle anyone else's mentoring effort, but we're not the church mentoring effort in the basement. That's not who Big Brothers Big Sisters is. We are an evidence-based organization that has received federal funds, that has basically established what the country knows about mentoring.
Right. But
let me just finish. So we need financial support.
Absolutely.
Clubs can do fundraisers. You belong to stuff, sell some cookies, do what we don't have a brand like the Girl Scouts, so we don't have cookies. And so it really is going to be about people just to think creatively about how they can support us, whether it's through monthly donations, large donations, fundraisers, car washes, whatever. You know, you have a birthday party, tell people to give donations to Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Sure.
But secondarily, we need mentors, right? And the reason I said money first is because when I get mentors calling me, wanting to get involved, or parents calling me, wanting to get their children involved, if I have no money, because I have no staff, I cannot process people. So they're sitting and awaiting that for us to be able to process them. So money is for real. I wish I could do something other than that, but we need that.
Money and mentoring go hand in hand.
And people, they do.
And
money and mentoring.
Yep, and we got to just think of creative ways for people to be inspired to give. And we were talking about doing some entertaining things down the road.
Absolutely.
And to really demonstrate the effects. Did you want to say something, Shannon?
I have an idea. Have you heard of the Matrix? What are they called?
No.
Matrix something, but I volunteered for them before, and they do like an art auction thing.
Oh, is it Matrix, the theater that's in Southwest Detroit?
No,
or Matrix Human Services?
Matrix Human Services.
I know. Oh my God, I know that fundraiser.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've actually received an invitation to it, and I haven't been able to go. But they did talk about art, that they sell art there.
So they
That's
had this like art
hilarious.
event.
Oh my God.
It's like a huge art auction.
Yes.
And artists will donate pieces that they'll have an art party, they'll put it on display, and they'll invite all these people, and like I volunteered at the event like the past not last year, but the past 2 years I did, and you just like you have like lists of like people will write down like how much money they want to bid on the pieces.
Yeah.
And it's like a game. It's like who can like write down.
Silent auction. Who can write?
Silent
auction. Yes.
And they also have like a live auction as well.
Okay.
But yeah, it's fun.
I actually know the guy who runs Matrix Human Services, and his name is escaping me. I want to say his first name is Doug. They do great work. When I told you I've been doing this work for 30 years, and so Matrix Human Services, not that you really care about this,
no, but it's
Matrix
interesting.
Human Services used to be called the League of Catholic Women.
Okay.
Did you know the League of Catholic Women back in the day? So they were an old historical organization, and they decided that the name was no longer relevant, and they changed it to Matrix. Which meant like the womb or something, Mary, the womb, birth of something new. I don't know, something interesting. But they do really awesome work, and so the fundraiser was to help raise money for their programs. Good, that's very cool.
So I think this year, 2020, we're going to put the fun back in fundraising
yes,
for Big Brothers Big
I
Sisters.
think so. We have a great big auction coming up in May.
Okay, tell us about that.
I believe it's May 7th.
Okay.
Hopefully that's a Thursday, so I'm not lying to you all.
Okay.
But it's our great big auction, and we auction off some really cool experiences.
Okay.
From trips to suites to the Red Wings game, passes to the Grand Prix and the chalets. In fact, I have a board member right now who won an auction item to go to Alaska, and he used it for his honeymoon. So I mean,
wow.
like, there's really cool auction items, but also smaller silent auction items too that people can get in on. We tried to make it an event that had a reasonable price point for people, right? Sure. Like, I would love the auto show charity preview, and I'll probably go, but the tickets are like $500, $750. So so ours is like $75.
Sure.
Drinks, food,
awesome.
Music.
And is it
Larry
on your
Lee
website?
and the Back in the Day band. It's on our website at bbbsdetroit.org.
Perfect.
It's a great way to get involved. We have a really awesome community. So when I talk about Big Brothers Big Sisters, our community of people who are bigs, our board, our supporters, it's just a wonderful, diverse group of people who come together because they really care about kids and making a difference in the life of kids. So if you like to be around those kind of people, have some good music, have some good food, have some good drinks.
Absolutely.
It's a good party to go to.
May
for sure.
7th at the Peak plant, you said?
At the Piquette
plant. The
Ford
Piquette.
plant.
Ford
It's like
plant.
an old historical plant.
Yeah,
it is. And so they have 3 floors that you can, create a party in.
That's going to be awesome.
So, yeah.
And I see that you really bring your personal passion for this work with you. What is the greatest takeaway that you've taken away working with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit in the last 6 years?
Oh, wow. Honestly, the biggest takeaway that I had recently. I've had these moments recently. And that is, our kids are so talented, and they're so smart, and they're so beautiful, and they just are lacking some of the opportunity that some other people might have. I met a young woman at Marcus Garvey Academy recently. It's on the east side of Detroit, and her big sister was sick for the day, so I stood in for her. And so I got a chance to sit and talk to this 13-year-old girl who had a vision of wanting to start her own lip gloss company, and was talking to me about pigmentation and chemistry. And I was like, what? Wait, what are you talking about?
Right.
But this girl had been in and out of school. She had been in like 5 different schools. Her father had been incarcerated. Her brother was incarcerated. Just a lot of what you would consider average childhood experiences. And I just kept thinking, and I kept looking at her, and I was like, oh my God, do you even know? Like, I didn't even know she knew. I was like, you're going to be amazing. Like, I just kept telling her, you're going to be amazing. And what I realized when I think about our work, these kids just need someone to see them, to care about them, to believe in their vision and believe in their dreams. And I think that's what I realized about this work, that it really is impacting real lives, and it impacts lives for generations, right?
Awesome.
You've got people, we've been around since 1974. As Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metro Detroit, we were actually 3 or 4 separate organizations earlier. I had a guy call me from the 1960s. He was a little brother, 11 years old at the time. Now he's in his 60s.
Wow.
You know what he's doing? He's on a sailboat in Clearwater, Florida. He's got he's married, he's got children, he's got grandchildren, he's happy.
So
this was a kid at 11
he was
years
helped by the
old
program.
who was running in and out of the juvenile courts, getting in trouble, living in extreme poverty. And he said his mentor made him believe he could be something else. Like, I just got this email back in June. Like, that's the stuff that tells me this is what this work is all about. So
That's awesome.
that's why I do what I do.
That's awesome. That's
Yep.
awesome. So we're here with Jeannine Gant of Big Brothers Big Sisters, President and CEO. And again, give us the website again and the upcoming event.
Yes, our website at Big Brothers Big Sisters is bbbsdetroit.org. We have a great big auction. It's called the Great Big Auction, coming up in May. It's on our website. It's a very reasonable price point to buy a ticket, to bring some friends, to hang out and support a really great cause and bid on some wonderful auction items.
Cool. And what's your phone number again over there?
We can be reached if you're interested in volunteering, donating, becoming a big brother or a big sister, or if you have a child that you think could benefit from our program. You can call 313-309-0500.
Awesome. Jeannine, thank you so much for coming on to 313 Believe. Hopefully we can be a resource to partnering with you in the future and putting you guys on the map.
I hope so. Thank you so much. It's
Absolutely.
been great talking to you, and keep up the great work with promoting the great stuff that's going on in Detroit.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.